From us tonight, the tiny London street that's had a huge impact on the British music industry. Denmark Street in Soho first came to prominence back in the 1950s. The Rolling Stones recorded their first album there, the Sex Pistols lived in a flat there, and now as another music store opens for business, Lucrezia Millerini takes a look at how Denmark Street became known as the British Tinpan Alley.
Party for the launch of a new music store on Denmark Street, where for over 70 years people have flocked to for all their musical needs, from buying instruments to recording albums, and it's still as popular as ever. A mecca for guitar players, famous faces including Ray Davies, Paul Weller and Pete Doherty can often be spotted browsing the huge selection on offer.
Here, beauty is created, for this is where music in all its forms is brought to the public.
Denmark Street became known as London's own Tinpan Alley. Just like its New York namesake, it was lined with music publishers. Then in the 1950s came the recording studios. This building, now a guitar shop, was one of the first, where Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones all recorded albums.
It was one of the most popular studios of the time because it was one of the first independent studios, and so a lot of people wanted to come and sort of have the control to record demos here and things without their labels owning it.
By the mid-70s, punk had arrived, and another chapter in the street's rich history. Behind this shop were rehearsal rooms used by the Sex Pistols. Chris Spedding, now in the band King Mob, produced one of their first demos.
Yes, I've been in this very room before, in 1976.
Yeah. What was it like then, back then?
It was very grotty and sort of like, you can imagine a rehearsal place, you know, sort of all horrible and smelly. Everything was horrible and smelly in the 1970s. But not like the 60s, because everything was in black and white in the 60s as well.
So up here is where two of the members of the Sex Pistols used to live back in the day, and if you look around the walls here, they are covered in graffiti that they did. We think that one over there is supposed to be Malcolm McLaren.
Apparently scrawled by Johnny Rotten himself, but there's more upstairs in the same building, in another room used by the band.
But we found, yeah, all these little cuttings and little letters and words, and I mean, I assume they have something to do with it because it was a pretty disgusting carpet. I assume it's been like at least a decade or two or so, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been in the back room as well with all the graffiti.
Yeah.
What would you make of all that?
It's phenomenal. It's a piece of kind of history, isn't it? It's, yeah, fairly lucky to have this kind of stuff on Denmark Street.
Today, the street still shapes the music scene. The 12 Bar Club, a venue here since the mid-90s, offers a stage, albeit a small one, for budding new talent.
Well, I came to the 12 Bar Club years ago and it's just got such a great feel to it. Slightly seedy, which is what you want, really.
Well, the Libertines, Katie Mellower and James Blunt all cut their teeth at the club, while Keane performed here on the night they signed their first record deal, proving that Denmark Street really is still relevant, even in the 21st century. Lucrezia Millerini, London Tonight.
And the music goes on. OK, I'll be back with our late bulletin a little later than usual tonight. We are on at 5 to 11. Right now, though, it is time for the ITV News at 6:30. So from everyone on the London team, for now, good night.